Hello, Denim Heads. This is David from the Sons of Selvage podcast, the podcast that focuses on heritage clothing, whether that be Goodyear welted boots, selvage denim jeans, or leather jackets. And today I'm super honored to have the team from Nick's Boots and also now Nick's Belts on the podcast. So I have Nick, Luke, and Liam. Thank you guys for all being present today and giving me your time. And maybe, yeah, I'll first hand over to you guys to introduce yourselves, and then maybe we can talk about some boots and some belts.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
sounds
you
good.
for
Go
having
ahead,
us,
Nick.
David. I'm Nick Jarrett. I'm the Associate Marketing Manager here. So I manage a lot of our social media, our influencer engagement, and then some parts of our like meta business accounts.
Yeah, I'm Luke. I manage the leather goods department here at Nix and the Nix belts stuff. I also take photos and prototype, make things, a little bit of everything, marketing. Yeah, so I'll hand it off to.
Yeah, I am Liam, and I work in the leather goods department under Luke's wing, and make a lot of belts and everything. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'm super stoked to have you guys here today because I know Nix is very much, well, I guess what I'd call a factory brand, right? Like whether it's on your YouTube content or on your website, it's like you're kind of showing the inner workings of making boots and all of your accessories and kind of the heritage and really showing people like this is what it means to have a factory and to make things in that factory. I myself worked at Black Horse Lane Ateliers in London for a couple years, and they basically have their own denim factory, like right there in London. And they're so selvage comes in the front door, jeans come out the back door, and so yeah, I love the way you guys are putting your sort of inner workings of your brand forward and showing your customers kind of how things work. And I know we'll kind of deep dive a bit maybe into your social media content, your YouTube content later. But yeah, just want to say that I appreciate that. It's cool to see things being made. And maybe on that note, let's maybe talk a bit about boots. So I don't know if you guys can speak a little bit about kind of Nick's history and sort of how you got into boot making and yeah, maybe you can go from there.
Yeah, we've been around for a long time now, since 1964. So originally opened by Nikolai Belushin. He was a Russian immigrant, immigrated to the U.S. He worked for White's, which is another company in Spokane that makes a similar product. Then he started making boots out of his shed, and then from there opened up his own business. His thing was he wanted to make boots from start to finish. So we've taken that motto and we try to run with that motto today. That's our podcast as well, from start to finish. Um, so that's where we are now, 1964 to now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting 'cause I know that's like one of like the themes on your website, and I kind of assumed from start to finish just meant like we're showing you the steps along the way. That's kind of cool that
Mhm.
that's also like a mantra of the business that you want to control every step of the manufacturing process.
Yeah, we try to be very transparent about what we do, and that's also why we, put a lot of our media on YouTube. But like we show people, like we try to educate people up on the boot making process as well. Um, just the transparency is a big part of what makes Nix. Um, just showing what goes into the product as well, so you know what you're paying for in our product.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. So I mean, obviously I've known about Nix for a long time. I've known about Whites as well. Like you guys are like the two PNW brands, and I guess you can maybe put like Danner and Viberg in there, but they're also both kind of something different. Whereas like the real deal is you guys and Whites. And I was quite interested when I was browsing the website to see how many actual categories of different boots you make. Like I know you make some specific work boots that are for folks in the PNW, and maybe you could speak to that. But I was also quite impressed to see that like you guys also do cowboy boots. You do hiking boots, hunting boots, and of course like tactical boots. Or a couple of categories that I didn't actually know about. Maybe if you want to, it might be helpful to kind of mention a little bit about each category and who that boot is for.
Yeah, the business mostly started off of Wild and Fire. That was the core of our business for a long time. It still is a large part of our business, but as we've expanded, it's become a smaller percentage of what we do overall. But the Hot Shot was our main boot for a very long time. Now that slowly was adapted into what we have now as the Builder Pro, which is basically the same thing as a Hot Shot. You still get that lug sole, A lot of people are still getting that classic high arch on there, but we just didn't need the Red X like fire resistant sole. We just put a standard Vibram sole on there, so that's why we've changed that over time. Um, our main thing is like we want to try to have a boot for everyone. Um, Whether it's someone like with a job out in the field that like really beats up their boots, or someone that's like maybe has like a 9 to 5 just desk job, but they want something nice. We try to make a boot for everyone. So, I mean, our legacy models would be a good place to start. Um, the Builder Pro obviously being our like our flagship boot. Like that's our bread and butter. That's what we sell the most of, along with the Hot Shot. We've got the Ranger, which is more of a forestry type boot. We have a lot of people in forestry that purchase our boots as well. And the Packer is our Western style. Obviously, as you said, we've come up with cowboy boots now, which the Palousas are limited runs, but that is something we can do as well. Um, and now we've even got stuff like we've got zero drop last because that was something that people had asked for quite a while. The barefoot like and minimalist boot space is really taking off. So people have been asking that for a while, and then we finally were able to deliver on it. So if enough people ask for something and there's a space for it, we're going to try to deliver on it.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned the zero drop stuff because I saw I think you guys worked with Rose Anvil to kind of develop that. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, I myself have run a couple half marathons back in the day in like Vibram Five Fingers, and these days I always run an ultra, and like I can never imagine going back to a non-zero drop running shoe. And I've just kind of always assumed with my boots that, either like an engineer boot or a cowboy boot, that you're going to have that big, like Cuban heel or similar, and it's going to, kind of angle the boots. I'm kind of keen to see what that might be like to wear a zero drop boot. What have you guys heard from your customers so far about that?
I mean, we've had a lot of positive feedback so far because I think people know what they're getting into with the zero drop boot. That's why they ordered it in the first place. But yeah, we've had nothing but positive feedback on it so far. We have like a couple true zero drop soles, and then we also offer the zero drop with like a wedge sole, which is not entirely zero drop, but it's still a lot lower than even our moderate arch lasts.
Is that like a Vibram Christie or similar?
Similar to a Vine Christie, we work with a different company to make them with our name on them, so we just call them Nick's wedge soles. We've got a white, a brown, and black. So yeah.
Nice. And one quick question I also had too. I have your website open on my other screen so I can kind of like reference stuff while we chat. You mentioned that folks should start with your legacy boots. Is that like a specific category I can jump into on the website, or is that like the same thing as what you? I know. I'm guessing it's not the same thing as what you call heritage, right? Like it's a different bucket of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the legacy boots are like that is our like our core models that we probably sell the most of, or that are the most well established with us and have been with us for a long period of time.
Okay.
Um, you'll find a lot of them in the quick ship section, and I will say, starting off with Nix, like the quick ship is probably the best place to start. We offer so much customization, but if you're just looking for a good boot, there are so many options already in the quick ship page. I just recommend starting there.
Yeah, and also just kind of wanted to deep dive on one specific thing, just because I saw it on the website earlier and it like really caught my attention. You've got a boot coming up. It's like I saw it in the Hero, the Roanoke denim limited leather launching in May. Is that something like? Yeah, that just caught my eye 'cause I love blue. Like, can you say a bit about what that is?
Yeah, I mean the we've done quite a few like the Roanoke leathers. The denim is just another one that I believe we've got a customer with them already that's like test wearing them. They're pretty
Cool.
nice. The crocking on the uppers is fantastic. It's almost like it's much darker the crocking than you'd expect. That's a beautiful leather though. We do a lot of limited runs, so that's something you'll see quite a bit from us. Is the limited run leathers.
Clarifying question. What does crocking mean in the context of leather? 'Cause I know about it for like denim, and it's like the indigo is wearing off on a garment, but what does that mean for leathers?
I mean, I don't know if anyone has the same like view of it or perception of it that I do, but I see it on mostly on the uppers, especially with our Station Master boots and some of our non-lace-up boots, like the slip-on boots, you'll see a lot of what I call crocking on the uppers, where you start to get those rolls on the uppers as you bend the boot over time, and you'll get these deep indentations where it gets darker in the indents there.
Maybe kind of like going a bit more into sort of your USPs. I know a lot of your social media content talks about you guys building the world's toughest boots. And I know historically, like everyone kind of knows P&W is, or Pacific Northwest is like the place where people are going to push their boots the hardest, whether it's, guys fighting fires or historically the logging industry, et cetera. Like, what does it mean to you guys to try and make the world's toughest boots? And how are you trying to put that into practice?
We've let our work stand for itself for many years. We don't skimp on quality of material, but obviously that comes with a larger cost. Um, but yeah, we let our work speak for itself.
And for the folks that are interested, is that like a Nick's Boots specific Reddit subreddit, or is that like on the Goodyear Welted Reddit?
That is a Nick's Boots specific Reddit. It's Nick's Handmade Boots.
Oh, cool. I didn't know about that. I'm gonna have to join.
Mhm.
So I like spend a lot of time on Reddits around denim and workwear and stuff. So that's super cool to know that you guys have that. Um, and maybe kind of going a bit more into that notion of like world's toughest. So obviously, I think you guys are trying to like show it as best you can in a transparent way through your video content. Are there like any advantages you guys have of having your own factory, being in Washington and Spokane? Disadvantages, like what are kind of like the pros and cons of the way, or are there any things that come to mind that are like, because we're set up this way, this is awesome, or because we're set up this way, this is challenging, that makes you guys, that unique or different than, let's say, any other boot maker in America?
Well, having the ability to just walk back into the shop and tell someone what I need is a huge advantage over outsourcing to, like, let's say another country, right? The fact that we have it here in the US and in Washington right next to us is fantastic because if we want to product test something or we are mitigating an issue that we've had, it's very easy to communicate that to our boot makers. But testing new models and products, I think we're able to push the bar and get feedback quicker when we're so close to the people that are actually producing the product.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw that come through with like, I saw some of the videos with Shiloh where he's talking about, hey, we got this feedback from our customers. We're changing, this design in this way, or, our production in that way, or even just like our content, we're adjusting it to kind of make give our customers what they want. So I think that was pretty cool that, you guys have that feedback loop of like, hey, we made a boot, we're selling it, try it, give us your opinions, and we'll keep iterating upon that. Um, and maybe, kind of going back a bit, we talked about the legacy range and the fact that they're like under quick ship. You've got a lot there kind of ready to go. If you had to point folks towards, say, like one boot to kind of like wear for their 9 to 5 in an office setting, and like one boot to wear that's kind of like a general purpose, I can do DIY in it, I can do stuff around the yard, I can like just kind of like an all-arounder like work boot. Which two models would you point folks to?
All around work boot, I would say Builder Pro. That's the one that's like, I mean, that V100 lug sole is very difficult to wear out. I mean, especially if you're doing like more casual work, if it's just like around your house, um, or even like a lot of field jobs, it takes quite a while to wear it out. And then as far as like a 9 to 5, like desk job or like a more casual setting, I would say the Falcon is probably the way to go. That is a moderate arch boot, very simple, like 5 inch Vibram, like V bar 700 sole. So it's like it's not that lug sole that you see on the Builder Pro. This can fit in more like dress settings, right?
I disagree, Nick.
And generally, go ahead,
You
Luke. Sorry.
disagree?
The LL64 would be the one you should go for, there, Nick.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Do you want to tell him why, Luke?
It's my boot, so that's all.
And repeat that model name again, so I can look it up.
Mine? Oh yeah, it's the LL64.
LL64.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to plug my own boot there.
He has
Oh
to
yeah, that's
plug his
pretty
own
rad.
boot.
That's super
It
cool.
is pretty nice. Yeah.
It's like a 7 hole. I guess like a 6 inch height boot.
5 inch, yeah.
5 inch, nice. Oh, that toe
Yeah.
box is beautiful. Is it like partially structured or unstructured or
Unstructured, yeah. Yeah.
unstructured? Awesome.
Soft toe is
Oh
the
man, I
way to
love it.
go. Soft
I
toe is the way to
remember
go.
when I took
Luke
that
and I
boot,
are,
getting off topic here, but like no one knew in the office. I was like, I want to go with the soft toe unstructured. They're like, we don't do that. Like, it's like, that's how far
It
we've
feels like
come. Yeah.
a gamble the first time you try unstructured boots. Like I've got a couple pairs of Vibergs that are unstructured and one pair of Attractions engineer boots that are unstructured. And when you're well, also some Lofgrens. I've got too many boots, but when you kind of give it that first go and you're like, I'm not really sure what this toe box is going to do, and you start to see it change, you're like, ooh, this is cool, but like, is it going to
Yeah.
keep looking good? And until you kind of get like it really broken in and patina, it's kind of almost like I don't know. There's a bit of like a thrill to it, an
Yeah.
excitement, and when it finally kind of takes its shape, it looks so cool.
It does. Yeah. Sorry to interject there. Like,
No, no, I'm glad you did. These are super cool boots, and I actually didn't know you guys had this like makers collection. Is that sort of like a label you give any like staff made design, or is that like a more of like a dress collection? Like what's the makers collection?
yeah, I think it started with my boot actually, with that boot, and then we kind of moved on to other people. We get a lot of random like builds here from employees because we kind of have a little bit more freedom to do it. And yeah, at the time I was like just coming out. I was back in boot production when I first started here, so I had some skills back there. And so I started just tinkering with this boot, went rogue a little bit on this thing, and it just became a thing that we kind of did with other employees as well. So, did you have something?
I was just going to add on to that's another thing that is awesome about having the shop right behind you. Instead of having to outsource it, you can do stuff like that when it's right there. So
Yeah.
it's pretty neat.
And yeah, that's a good clarifying point. So like if folks go to Spokane, they can like literally just like show up at the Knicks factory and like you guys have your retail presence there as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm just kind of riffing on the website. I'm like looking at like LL64, Roanoke denim, gunmetal hardware, black edge color, Dr. Soul, half soles, like that would be a sweet boot. Like anything blue and black is like my jam. So I'm kind of like, ooh, this is a sweet build up.
Yeah. No, it's really
Very
cool.
cool.
I think that's one of the special things about Knicks as well. I think we probably carry more leather than any other boot company, as far as I know. Like,
Yes.
at least in the PNW here. So it's pretty neat.
And what's the lead time, generally speaking, if someone like put in an order for a boot that's not like on the shelf already?
There's a range there. So, I mean, quick ship, like legacy quick ship, um, could be anywhere from 2 months to standard lead time is like around 5 to 6 months. So it just kind of depends on what you're getting. Some of the
Mhm.
like lightning ship products, it might even be like a month and a half before it ships out. So it really depends on like what you're getting there. That's why I always try to push people towards that quick ship if they're just getting their first boot. You'll probably find something that you like there that works for you. You'll have it on your feet quicker, so you know that the sizing is going to work for you. Um, and that way, for some reason, if there's like an issue with sizing, you can always get it exchanged. Because waiting 6 months and then having to do an exchange can always feel like a little bit of a headache,
Yep.
even if the exchange period is like a couple months.
And maybe speaking about putting orders in, like how did things work in terms of sizing with you guys? And part of the reason why I asked that is like because I'm obsessed with getting just the right fit, and because I've got weird feet. Like I own a Brannick device at home, and I've got like maintain my heel to arch length, my heel to toe length on both feet, and like I've got all that geeky data. But at the same time, it's like I wear an 11 and a half and a pair of Vans. How do you advise folks get the right size in your boots when they're either ordering something that's ready to go or putting in a custom order?
People have a few different ways that they can get size for our boots. A lot of people do use Brannick. That's funny that you've got one at home. So you're a real pro for that. Not a whole lot of people have a Brannick at home. If they don't, call up like I don't know, local shoe store or something like that, like there's not a whole lot of places that still carry Brannics, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, you can get size on a Brannick. Most people are going to be half size down from Brannick. While I trust length on the Brannick, I'm not super enthused about trusting the width of the Brannick because it doesn't show volume of the foot. And I have
Yeah.
noticed that some people like just have taller feet, even when we're not talking about the instep itself. The front of the foot might be a little bit taller, or they might have a bunion that we need to account for. The Brannick is not really going to account for that. It just shows lateral width. So I think measuring with tailor's tape for the actual width is more important. Ultimately, the sizing guide on our site we think is the best way to go. Not everyone does that or is able to, get to a printer to print that out and do it at home.
Okay.
Brannick would be the second best thing.
So I went to like nicksboots.com/pages/sizing. It looks like that's like the go-to place where I see you've got this printable fit ruler, like 8.5 by 11 for the US, A4 for Europe. And like you're kind of like working with your specific system and giving you guys those specific measurements to ensure we get the right fit.
Yes. A general rule of thumb, Nicks will fit large, so we recommend going a half size down from your mass-produced boot size. Now, for like a frame of reference for me, I like wearing a 10 double E in our boots. 10 double E in our like lace-up boots. Now, mass-produced like footwear and boots, I'm probably wearing an 11D. That's because I can't find a whole lot of double E's in most mass-produced brands. Um, so, I mean, I could take that size and go down to a 10.5D. I could be all right in it. When using the sizing guide, I came to 10 double E. That's probably my best size.
Yeah, and I'll kind of speak a bit to my personal experience and also maybe touch on the Delta arch in a minute. But I've got really weird feet and I've got like huge arches. So my left foot's a 10.5 arch length. My right foot's an 11.5 arch length. And my right foot's a bit flatter because the bigger arch, and my left foot's more curvy because the shorter arch. But like my toe length is only like a 10. I've got like very short toes. So I'm usually having to buy boots to fit my arches rather than even really considering my toes. And I just am used to having like a lot of space at the end of my boots. Um, and with engineer boots, that's been a bit of a challenge for me to get like a boot that's long enough so my toes aren't squished at the end. So I also have like a really wide toe box from barefoot running. And I ended up having a couple pairs of engineers where it's like I bought either a 10.5 or 11 in that brand, like an 11 in a Lofgren, a 10.5 in an Attractions Pioneer. Um, and I had like a good amount of heel slip because I just don't have the foot volume, but I do have these huge arches. And so I actually stumbled across y'all's Delta arches as a means to make those boots fit a bit better. So I ended up picking up a set of these and regularly just like throw them in one of my engineer boots to kind of like give a little bit more volume in the back of the shoe where I need it. So this is a pretty cool product. And I remember, I think I had to order these, not custom, but like made to order from you guys because I don't think you had them in stock when I was buying them. But I guess they're like, size 10.5 to, or 10 to 11.5. I probably still could do more breaking in with them. But yeah, these have been a big help to me in terms of like getting my boots to fit better, especially like, they kind of have the nice like arch support bar in them and that kind of thing. So I thought these were a pretty cool product.
Yeah, yeah, they're one of my favorite products. They've been one of our most popular products like the last 2-3 years since we released them, and um, yeah, they kind of changed my life a little bit. I was a moderate arch guy, lower heel, Falcon boot type of guy, and then I started wearing those just as to test them out as we were building them because one of our guys back in boot production kind of came up with the idea to get like arch support in one of our like wedge sole boots, instead of like double stacking the heel with leather, kind of like how other companies do it, like two lineman shanks or whatever, or adding a lineman shank to the midsole there. He came up with this, and then we had to figure out how to make them. And yeah, I started wearing them, and then like every single boot I've bought since, has the 55 last, like so the higher arch. It's kind of life changing. Yeah, the Delta arches aren't as as supportive as like say like the 55 last, but it's kind of a good in between for people that need a little bit of that arch support. So we really like them here, and we just recently released a new version where it's like a two piece. So we have the full, the half, and now we have a two piece that we're selling. So we took the full, just didn't glue the insole to the top of them. So it kind of gives people the option to use them as a half, a full, or just an insole to kind of get that perfect fit, depending on how you like to wear your boots. So
And on these guys, a couple questions. Like, is there a way to kind of help break them in faster? Because what I found was I was like actually putting them in my Vans or like my Converse to just to get more wears on them to try and get them to like shape to my feet faster. So that's one
yeah,
question. And then the second question is when I do put them in some of my engineer boots and I'm walking a lot. So I used to live in San Francisco, so I'd like walk everywhere. And I'm like walking up hills in engineer boots and stuff. Do you have any tricks to kind of like keep them situated in the back half of the boot? So they kind of stay more in place.
yeah, I think we mostly developed them for lace up boots, so I can see that. I've heard of people using like double stick tape or something like that. Gluing them in if you're really dedicated. But yeah, just most probably just some kind of adhesive in there to keep them. But that's about it. Most of the time your foot weight, your body weight will kind of keep them from moving in most boots. But yeah, I can see like there's a bit of a challenge for like an engineer, like a slip-on boot. But yeah, I've heard of people double sticking the tape, gluing them in a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of all I got right now for that.
And if you did
And
the full length, would that be better for a slip on? Because I guess it would kind of keep the whole thing in place.
exactly, yeah. The
Okay.
half, yeah, the half will stay put in pretty much all of our lace up boots, but the engineer would probably work better with a full. And as for break in, I didn't have any problem with mine. They took a few weeks. I don't know if it's hot here. Maybe a foot gets a little sweaty, kind of breaks in that leather. You could probably wet them down a little bit. If you're into that, kind of wear them around like that. It'll kind of mold to your foot. Mine are the ones I've been wearing for a couple of years now are like a dark brown, and there
Hmm.
are probably some photos on the website, and you can just see my entire foot kind
Yeah.
of pushed into them. It's kind of cool. I almost thought about wearing them for the patina Thunderdome because they patina so good.
I think Ben would have be annoyed that he'd have to create a new category just for like insoles.
Yeah. Speaking of, I didn't
um,
mention it earlier, but since my LL64s were a winner a couple of years ago, so
oh,
yeah.
rad. Did you post them on the Patina Project app or like is there like
Oh yeah.
a YouTube video?
Actually, that was before the. No, I think they might have been in there. Yeah, I won the second year on those things, so it's probably in the Patina app. Yeah,
I'd recommend if you guys haven't already done it, do a dedicated video on those. Like show, like introduce the boot, show a brand new pair, then show your pair from the competition.
yeah,
Because like that's a super cool design, and I was not aware of it. So obviously, I don't
yeah,
watch every single new Knicks video, but yeah, I
yeah,
think that'd be cool if you haven't showcased it already.
yeah. Cool.
Cool. Maybe since we're already kind of in the accessories realm and kind of transitioning a little bit from boots, maybe let's talk a bit about Knicks belts. So the reason I got in touch with you guys is because I've learned that you've launched a new belts website and that's like a significantly growing part of your business. So maybe tell me a bit how like Nick's got into belts, a bit about your
Yeah,
product offering, and kind of like, yeah, maybe just kind of tell us that didn't know about it about the Nick's belts business.
sure. Yeah. So I started here in 2020, the very beginning, like January of 2020. I got hired on as a bootmaker. I had some leather goods experience, and I remember walking in to like check out the boots, like because I was going to buy a pair of boots. Because at like you, I'm a runner. I do like ultra marathons here in Washington, and
Oh,
I was
well.
doing my 50 miler, like near Mount Rainier here, and I wanted like an incentive to finish. When I got really tired, like a mile or hour 10 or whatever I was out there, like to kind of finish. And I was like, I'm going to get a pair of boots. And we just moved to Spokane. And I was across the street and saw a boot company over here. And I walked in and kind of checked them out. And there was a guy that used to work here. I think we are kind of just getting into it, kind of getting the idea down of leather goods. And I saw that he was like making some wallets or something like that. But and maybe some belts to test out. And I got hired on a few months later, and within I think like 6 months, I was back making belts, like the last half hour of the day, um, like making like 5 belts a week or something like that. And it's just kind of grown from there. We started off with just a couple work belt leathers, and now we have like our own dedicated department. We have 4 employees back there making stuff, and yeah, it's kind of taken off. And for the belt website, we wanted to kind of, so right now, like the Knicks Boots website, we kind of cater to our boot customers. Being in this factory with all those leathers, we can match people's boots. We have access to all the leather, so it was kind of naturally moved into that. And we thought that getting another belt, a belt dedicated website, and opening that to kind of pull in people that have no idea about Knicks. So they just want a really good belt that's going to last them forever, or whatever we release next, wallets, bags, stuff like that. So that's kind of where that came from. Just really kind of getting the people that have no idea who we are, but need a belt.
Yeah, super rad, and I'm glad you guys do have that dedicated website. And for those who haven't seen it, it's nixbelts.com as opposed to nixboots.com. Yeah, it's really cool to see like right in the front page. You've got that it's made start to finish in Spokane. I mean, I guess people would expect that from your brand anyways, but it's good to have that reassurance that it's like, hey, our belts aren't coming from Portugal or something. It's like we're making them in the same factory where we make your boots. So I like seeing that, and I like that the offering feels pretty straightforward. It's like you've got 4 products at the moment.
Yep.
Maybe it's worth mentioning kind of like what the focus is of each belt, and kind of like what leathers you picked and what design details. That might be something that folks like to hear.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, yeah, we kind of just started off with these 4 models. We'll be adding more to kind of fill out the website, but we wanted to kind of get our bread and butter ones in there. So the classic work belt that we have is kind of the one that started it all. We use really thick Seidel leather. It's a work leather out of Wisconsin, and this is like for people that want just like a really good belt. They don't have to fuss about. It'll last them, take a beating, and it's our cheapest belt. That it it's still kind of expensive for some people that maybe not know, but this belt is just kind of like the workhorse of our belts, really. Um, then the heavy duty work belt is our thickest work belt. It is like one giant slab of Wicket and Craig leather. We get it as thick as we can, as they'll allow. They come in somewhere between 13 to 17 ounces, but we buy it at 13 to 15 ounces. This is a veg tan leather. It's tanned in Pennsylvania, and this is the belt that you want something like, I was thinking it was like an old timey belt, like you maybe would have
Totally.
seen like a long time ago. It's just this natural veg tan. It's just going to age beautifully, and it's just a beast of a belt, right? It gets a thicker brass buckle. It's just someone that just wants the thickest belt they can possibly get. And then our heritage belt, that's kind of where the factory comes in, because we have access to all these leathers, but they're boot weight leathers. So that kind of gives us the opportunity to just kind of play around with different colors and just all the boot leathers. So we take those, cut them, glue them, and then stitch them up, and they just make these beautiful belts. They're as thick as the other belts, but they're 2 layers. So they're just as heavy duty, just as beefy, built the same way, but you can kind of get them in pretty colors and in different styles of leather. So it kind of really opens up kind of how all the choices there. So, and same thing with like the bison. That's one of our heritage belts. It's just kind of specific. We separated them just because they're kind of a really unique leather on there.
And maybe to help me understand, because I'm not super versed on kind of leather making. What
Mhm.
was it when you're stitching together 2 pieces of leather for the heritage belt or the bison belt? Is that making it double thickness compared to the heavy duty work, or is it that you have thinner leathers to start with and you glue
Yep.
and stitch them to like equate the same size as say the heavy duty work belt thickness wise?
Yeah. So our heritage leathers normally come in about 6 to 7 ounce for boots. So when you double them up, you're getting 12 to 14 ounces
Okay.
of leather. So yeah.
Okay. So you're basically kind of doing two layers to achieve what you can achieve with one layer of the classic work or the heavy duty work belt.
Yep. Yep. Because
Nice.
single layer would just be way too thin for a belt. It'd be pretty stretchy.
Yeah, totally. And one thing that I thought was interesting when I was going through the website and kind of learning about the brand is like you guys have a ton of awesome detail on the website. I do think it would be cool to know the tannery for each belt or each leather. Because I know
Yeah.
like leather geeks kind of geek out about that stuff. It's like, ooh, is this Horween? Is it Wicked and Craig? Is it is it
Yeah.
good?
So with the Knicks site, we get a lot of the leather nerds on the Knicks Boots website, right? So right there,
Mm,
we kind of offer more choices, more thread colors, all the leather colors. To start out, we were trying to go more simple for the
yeah.
Knicks belt website. Just the person that comes in has really no idea about leather. Here's a brown belt. Really, it's kind of how it started. I've kind of gone in since, and kind of added a little more information, like about the tanneries and stuff like that. And I think we'll kind of grow that as maybe people become more comfortable, kind of get in there. As like more of the leather nerds kind of get in there and visit the site. So, but yeah, yeah,
And do you
I'm a
guys
tan,
ever see
so I love it. So
and do you guys see yourself like branching out like either in like the suede direction or like the cordovan direction? Or do you think you're gonna kind of stick to the leathers you're working with?
Kind of already dabbled into that a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah. So like Liam said, we kind of have dabbled. Like we just put a new leather tote bag on there that is a Seidel waxed suede. Um,
Ooh,
so
cool.
yeah, and we have kind of dabbled in rough out versions of the belts on the Knicks Boot website. But yeah, absolutely. I'll be introducing a new little wallet onto the Knicks Belts website as well, and that'll kind of give us the opportunity to use some of the cordovan we have here for those. So I'm really excited about that. You know,
Yeah, I'm kind of browsing the different categories. And first and foremost, I'll say that the Knicks belts logo is super cool. Like I didn't notice it at first until seeing it up close. But like the kind of fact that each letter is a belt is super cool.
yeah, we have an in-house artist here that kind of kind of nerds out. I remember when he started, that was one of the first things he made. Kind of just sketched it out on break, and so we're like, we got to use this.
And do you want to kind of touch base on any of the other accessories you're also doing? So I see you guys have a couple other things beyond just belts on the site.
Yeah, we have some key clips and I'm trying to forget what else is on there. Leather swatches, t-shirts, specific for the Knicks belts.
Shade cases on there.
Not yet. Yeah, we have a sunglasses. So we're really gonna be filling it out. We have a really cool sunglass case, two of them actually, that we have on the Boots website that will be moving
Nice.
on to the website as well. So, um, but yeah, I have it started out just as me, and we've kind of grown. So we've got four people back there now. So I really, like Liam here, kind of came in with just like a ton of sewing experience. So he jumped right in to making belts and bags and stuff like that. I don't know. Do you want to talk about that at all? Like kind of,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I guess. I don't really know where you want me to start on that, but yeah, just before I worked at Nick's, I was making custom denim for people and clothing. I made both of our his shirt and my jacket right here, and I just knew that I wanted to kind of continue sewing and using my design skills, and came into Nick's. Eventually, after a long time trying, got the job, and Luke
Sorry.
immediately no, it's okay. Luke immediately
You should have saw this guy come in. He was like a whole just denim outfit, denim hat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
but he took
The
advantage
more
of
the
it.
more indigo, the merrier, as far as
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
concerned.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it's been real nice getting to. Luke's kind of allowed me to use my design skills too to help out with a lot of the things that we come out with, and yeah, a lot of sewing.
And maybe that's a good kind of like topic to deep dive on a bit. So I know on the YouTube channel, you guys have like a ton of content about the Boots factory and kind of how that works. It sounds like, if I understand correctly, that the leather goods is like a more hands-on small operation. Like, what kind of steps are you guys going through, and like, when are you doing things by hand or when are you using machines, and kind of like what's the kind of rough workflow for you to make one of your belts?
Yeah, so all of our belts come in, our belt leather comes in full hides. So we start like say with like our Wicked and Craig, that comes in as a big hide, right? And then we got to cut it down into the straps. The Seidel work leather comes in and like it's called like a double butt, that's what we call them here. It's like the back half of the cow, but the spine, and it kind of goes over like that. So we can kind of get a better yield out of that. Um, but we cut those down in straps that we need, and we have some machines, like we use, some people complain. They're like, oh, that's not handmade because they see us sewing or clicking it out. We'll have like dies to cut like the belt shapes and stuff like that. But other things like Liam's been working on these new leather tote bags, and it is, he's cutting them out by hand, and, we're gluing them, and we do use sewing machines, but yeah, we kind of just pick and choose to make like the best quality. So like instead of, maybe beveling the belt by hand, we have a machine that we pull it through. So it's like it's the same every single time. It's quicker, but it's just really clean. We use a clicker press with some dies to punch the holes so they're not crooked. There's kind of different things like that. We'll burnish some belts by hand, like say like a natural veg tan that might burn a little bit if you are using one of our burnishing machines. So kind of it's just a mix of that. So trying to find the best way to do it, make it
Yeah.
fast, and I don't know. Yeah, what do you think there?
Yeah, totally. And one thing I really like about the leather goods section is we get to see our product start to finish, you know? So, like in boot production, sort of, it's like one person will sew it and pass it on. But one thing I really enjoy is, say, I'm working on a wallet. It's much smaller, but I'm not just cutting the wallet out. I'm sewing it, beveling it, burnishing it. You know, I get to start it and finish it, which I think is
Yeah.
nice, you know, because then you, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
then like we'll have these little tags that go with all of our products. So, and the people that get it get to see who made it. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys sending me one of your belts to check out, the work belt in black. And I see this one was made and inspected by Nicholas.
There you go.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Super cool. Yeah, on June 11th of 26. So that's super
Yep.
rad that you guys are bringing that human touch into the belt making. And I think handmade such an annoying term because it's like it basically can be any gamut of like a lot of human touch or a little bit of human touch. But I think what is kind of the through line is if you put handmade on something, you feel that like you've been sufficiently hands on with it to feel that you made it and that it
Hmm.
wasn't made by like an automated machine or like some kind of computer. And I think if your customers are getting frustrated about like exactly how handmade it is, it's like, well, I could make it even more hands on, but that's going to double or
Yep.
triple the cost. So it's like I made it as much hands on as I could do while still making it the right price point for you as a customer. And I think folks could benefit from having that flexibility when they're buying something that's handmade.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that you
Still
you
has that
touched on
human
that.
touch is kind of what we really care about. Like you can tell there might be a slight imperfection here or there. It wasn't like cranked out by a big automated machine.
that
So
was another thing before I started working here. I noticed like we will sell seconds, you know, like whether it's a factory seconds boots or factory seconds belts. It just like people will buy it, and it just goes to show that we are still human and we make mistakes, and sometimes it gives us the ability to kind of honor those mistakes and be like, you know, here's this thing. Like it might be just a piece of hardware that's messed up, but that's just mistakes human make.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I like it. I like the handmade touch. I like the imperfections. The slight stitching might be just a little bit off. You can tell like it was made by somebody. So
Yeah, that's a good point too about like the kind of human side of leather goods. Like I know you guys have a marketplace on your boots website where you're, either selling secondhand Nicks boots or, factory seconds of Nicks, but also other brands that a Nicks customer would be interested in. And I myself often buy leather products secondhand. Like I bought some attractions engineer boots recently, and like the person obviously put about a month or so's wear on them, but it's like, hey, that means they're a bit broken in, and but they're still new enough where they feel like they'll evolve to my fit. but and I save a lot of money. So I think that's one nicety about leather is like the fact that it is going to patina, it is going to age, it's not going to look brand new forever. I think if a customer can embrace that, then it like
Hmm.
really opens the doors for what you could potentially, take into your ownership. Whereas like, I don't know, with denim, I feel like people are often more like, oh, this needs to be, unwashed, unworn. Like if you soaked it, I don't want it. There's a bit of a weirdness around denim where people are like sticklers, but I feel it's like leather, you can be a lot more flexible in terms of like how new or not new something is before you take it into your ownership.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And maybe kind of pivoting ever slightly, I saw that Nick mentioned or hinted at that you guys are doing something around what Americans call suspenders or what British people call braces.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what they call them. Or maybe I bet Trent knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
news
funny
to me.
side note. Funny side note: suspenders in the UK are a garment that, well, it's an item that's to help keep lingerie on one's legs from falling down. So, like, if you say
Yep.
suspenders, a British person is going to immediately think that, and like these things that keep your pants up are called braces.
Maybe we'll get
Whereas
in.
obviously braces in America is like thing you put on your teeth, and suspenders are what you keep, how you keep your jeans from falling off.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's pretty big for us right now. We've had a lot of requests over the years. A couple of years ago, we talked about it. I think maybe like 3 years ago, we were chatting about it. We just didn't have the team to do it. It was kind of me, and I think there might have been one other person back there. But so we didn't have the capacity to do it. Like we were just too busy. So with this team now, and we're growing, like we have the capability. If one person is, you know, building the suspenders, trying to create this thing, this new product, or I'm creating a bag, then we have other people to kind of fill in and get the orders out. So that's been huge for us over the last 6 months. So yeah, these suspenders, like I said, they've been in the works for about 3 years, and just in like the last 3 months, it's kind of when they've all come together. So um, we're working on those right now. It's going to be like a heritage style, like thinner leather, our boot leather, 6 to 7 ounce, 7 8 ounce, and then we'll be also working on like a heavier duty like work, like for people working construction or something like that. It'll be made from our belt leather. So that one's still in the works, but this other one will, I think we have it set to be released this month actually. So we're really excited about it. I think you know, it'll be huge for us.
Yeah, and aesthetic wise, like what should we expect? Is it going to be kind of like leather end to end with like the metal hardware? Is there going to be like any fabric as well, or
Right now, no fabric. So they're going to
cool?
be like on the back, it'll be like a brass ring. You'll have your brass hardware. I think we have two rivets and some Chicago screws. To fasten them onto the pants, there'll be different options. You can have the option to kind of use like the buttons or put buttons on your pants to hook them onto. We'll have some attachments for like the belt loops and attachments to hook to belts. We are working on adding like elastic on the back to a pair eventually. Well, we just got elastic in on Tuesday to kind of test out. So we'll be kind of jumping into that pretty big this year.
Nice. Yeah, I got a couple of buddies who are into like heritage clothing, and they're guys who are a bit on the bigger side, and I know they would like love the ability to like rock some super cool leather suspenders,
Yeah.
and even someone like myself where um, like I'm kind of embracing wider fits with my denim, or even like a herringbone twill, like army trouser, like having that kind of wider straight leg, higher waist that sits like right at the hip bones. I could totally imagine just having some really cool, like, I mean, in my head it would be like shiny black cordovans. I love shiny things, but like a black, all black murdered out suspenders that I'm just wearing to look cool, when I'm going out for the night. I could totally see adding that to my wardrobe, and it's something I've never owned, but I do have like at least one or two pairs of jeans that have the like. Actually, maybe it's a kind of a product idea. I have one or two pairs of jeans that have like the buttons put on them to hook suspenders too, but then also I
Mhm.
guess would be interested in like the clip-on ones that would go on any of my jeans that don't have that extra buttons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
I was just gonna say I'm the same way. I mean, before we made these suspenders, I had never even worn a pair of suspenders. And then after Trent had gave me my first pair, I was like, man, these like because I like to dress, and I was like, these are awesome. Like these are a new kind of statement piece for me and to wear around, and
Yeah. I think I've
pretty
only worn
fun.
like the rainbow colored Mork and Mindy style from like the
Yeah.
1980s when when I was a little kid. I had those, but that's the last one I wore. I haven't even tried these new ones on. I should. So,
Yeah, after seeing Trent's pair, I will say I'm definitely a belt guy, but after seeing Trent's pair, I'm like, I could see myself wearing those actually, and it's kind of surprising. What
yeah.
were, like, will you remind me the leather on Trent's pair that he had for his heritage pair?
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So just first, you'll have a lot of leather options here. So we're going to use like the Chrome XLs and stuff like that. But Trent, I think he used the Cypress Raisin Cherry and the Mock Cypress as well. So those are the ones he's been working with. I don't know if I think he maybe have done like the 1964 Brown as well. But the main one was the Cypress Raisin Cherry, but those stained his shirt because it's so like red or pink on the inside. But I've talked to a couple customers and
Interesting.
they're like, I don't care.
Okay.
I'm using them for work, whatever. So there will be a disclaimer on those ones if we sell them. So yeah.
Well, what you could do actually, if you're using the boot leathers where you have to do that like double layer, you
Hmm.
could on the backside put just like the most natural, undyed, plain as possible leather on the backing, and then just like whatever kind of cool, interesting leather on the front side. So you get the neat aesthetic, but like something that's like not really dyed sitting against your shirting.
Yeah, yeah. I have thought about that. I don't know if Trent has yet, but yeah, it would be just like a more time consuming one. We'd have to stitch the it
Yeah.
on, but I'm down with doing that. I think it'd be really cool. So kind of just like a really fancy heritage style with stitched. I haven't really seen those out there, so it would be really neat.
Awesome. And any other accessories you guys kind of have launching in the near term beyond suspenders, or is that kind of like your main focus at the moment?
Right now, we're always focused on belts, of course, but having more people, we've been introducing these new lines like the leather tote bags. We've been doing monthly drops on those. That's new for us. We just never kind of knew where it fit in the Knicks world. But then
Mhm.
I just kept getting customers wanting to buy stuff for their wives, or maybe they wanted totes, like so they'll buy a pair of boots and a tote bag. But so the totes, the suspenders, and
A
I'm
wallet.
huh?
A wallet.
Yeah, some new wallets. But I really want to get into the watch strap business here. So
Oh,
I
cool.
think could be big for us as well. We have a lot of leather that we throw away here that can be used for watch straps. That it's good leather, but we cut a end off the belt like that big, and we can't use it for anything, right? Um, those
Yeah.
can be made into straps. So I think that could be something we see this year, maybe next year. Kind of just making sure we get it right.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm actually wearing one. I just took it off to show, but I'm wearing a Timex at the moment. And one of the main selling points of this one was the black leather band with like the white stitching on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know like a NATO style strap that could like swap out on a watch or that kind of thing would be super cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I have here on this Hamilton one. I just split some harness now. I split it a little too thin, but the thing is still strong as heck, right? Like, but yeah, that's kind of going to be the thing. People want a slightly thicker strap, with like our boot leather, because they might get a strap and it's just too thin. But I think a full weight, boot leather could work really well if we can figure it out. How to get it to
And who doesn't want their watch strap to match their boots?
right.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
actually
it's
thinking there's some interesting story here where it's like I can order a matching pair of boots and belt. Like obviously like when you got the made to order part of the boot site, but a future version is like I can made to order like my belt to match my boots
Mhm.
and my watch strap or my suspenders. So I kind of get like a whole head to toe kind of matching kit for whatever I'm wearing. That could be
That
super
would be
cool.
great. Yeah. Yeah. Just order what's called the Knicks. You get you get one of everything. Someone would buy it. I
That
know
could
it
be a
would.
good thing to have, like, is like a special program at your factory, right? Where it's like if someone's in Spokane, they visit your retail presence there, they could like put in that special like head to toe order while they're there visiting your factory and shop.
Have you make some pants and a shirt?
Yeah.
Well, I just
Yeah,
went to the
man.
rodeo. Yeah, I just went to the rodeo outside of Austin recently, and like there were people wearing like the guys who are bull riding were wearing like proper leather chaps and stuff. I didn't realize that that was like still a thing. So maybe there's a side business there as well.
Chaps.
That would be niche, but it would certainly be fun to get into. I think we'd have to find the right find the right reseller for those if we started making them. I don't think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
fly on our site.
It's funny, like when I was like not doing this for a living, like it was like 15 years ago. I was just talking about this actually. What got me interested in leather was like this might be slightly different, but I saw some guy, I don't know, it might have been like Hermes or something like that. He was stitching a saddle on a video on YouTube, and I was like, I'm gonna do that one day. I haven't done that, but that's kind of that got me like thinking like after my first pair of Red Wings, I was like, oh, I'm a leather guy now. And I saw that saddle being stitched. I'm like, oh, this is a dream, right? It's just hand stitching a saddle. It was so cool. But yeah, rodeo stuff, I
It's funny
guess,
how
is
you
the
hear
next.
that story often because like I know Mike from Red Rabbit Trading Co. And he had that same kind of story about like getting into the silver making business. And I myself at one point was like, I want to learn to make shirts. And so I like recently finished my first shirt. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's funny how we get these callings, and like if we can pursue it, you get to basically like do your favorite thing and also get paid doing it. So that's really cool that you guys have found a
Yeah.
way to launch this belt brand or belt business.
Yeah. That's been my life the last 6 years here. I'm like, that's a dream. That's an absolute dream coming into work. So Nick's is a great place to work at. So I think everyone here is like some of the happiest people I've ever worked with, and I'm not lying. It's it's different here. It's really cool. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's a good segue to your video content because like I think what you just said, Luke, comes out in the YouTube content. You know, whether it's y'all CEO Schuyler jumping on a call, whether it's doing boots on the line, showing what's being built, etc. Be great to hear a bit about sort of like how y'all decided to invest in YouTube. Kind of what categories you want to make, whether it's like the start to finish or the leather on the table, boots on the line, like yeah, it'd just be kind of interesting to hear how Nix has kind of leaned into that online personality because I think it's a big part of your brand now.
Yeah, I might hand that one off to Nick over here. He might know a little bit more than me about it. We kind of just started pushing content back in the small goods, so we're still trying to figure that out. But Nick, I'm not sure. Do you know much about the YouTube stuff?
Yeah, YouTube really took off, and I mean, I think this is for a lot of companies that can say this. COVID was a big part of the push to start YouTube initially. Everyone was home. Everyone was like consuming more media online in general. That's where we got the jump start on YouTube and started showing our product. From there, we've sort of built it out as an educational resource. So we have like a playlist for our buying guide. We've got a few different things. We've got educational resources. We've got stuff that's just for fun or showing new products that we make. And then stuff that's like for new updates, which would be mostly the podcast would be like covering new updates and things for the company, roadblocks that we're running into with some of our tanneries or other things, creating new products, like the factors that go into it, what we're hearing from our boot makers while trying to R&D new products. Um, but YouTube has mostly become a resource for our buyers, and it's something that we need when we have such a large like customization. Like we have 60 or 70 plus leathers in the shop at one time. Now a lot of those are like limited run leathers, but when we offer that many products, we have to have resources for people to know what is going into them. Otherwise, you're going onto our site and you're just like, I don't know where to start, right? We need those resources for our customers because there's so many parts of a boot that are like, as I said, we offer boots for everyone. So I don't want someone that's working like a desk job to be like, do I need a lineman shank? What is that? and it's only at our like lineman boot or like electrical hazard boots. So we need all of this like information out there to try to educate our customers, because it's like, unless you're in our shop every day working with us, there's no way to know all this information to like get a grasp on all of our products.
Yeah, and I'm jumping over to your channel. So you mentioned, because I've like hopped around and watched a ton of videos, but like, so there's a specific playlist that, okay, I see buying guide playlists,
Hmm.
tips for first time boot buyers, etc. Okay, okay, okay. That's super helpful. A boot care playlist. I'm seeing like a lot of like good organization of the content, so I can kind of know where to jump in and you know kind of know how to find the right content for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, it's like a little bit for everyone. Like boot care is going to be, post buyer, right? It's like someone that's already has a pair of Nicks, and was like, this is my first pair of Nicks. I don't know how to really care for them. They could check out that playlist and see like how we're caring for the different kinds of like CXL versus a Seidel work leather, right? So it's just a good
Super cool.
resource for people.
Yeah, and I like some of the more fun stuff as you mentioned, right? Like the boots on the line where you're just like walking through the factory and you guys are showing like
Mhm.
what's in progress. I like the videos where like Shiler sits down, I think with was it Lucas? Is that his name? And they just kind of like riff on different topics of interest. Yeah, it's cool to kind of see these different kind of aspects of the business and something that I think is an advantage you guys have by like having your own end to end like workflow and manufacturing in one place. That's really cool. Um,
I think
do we?
you'll notice like the way that we differ from a lot of other companies in like a similar spaces is we're very front facing with all of our like employees and people that work with us as well. Like when we have them on the podcast, when we have people on Boots in the Line, um, a lot of people like know who we are, like the general sales team that works here, many of the cobblers as well. We're very front facing, and that's again like a part of our like transparency and like getting to know us, as because we're a business, but ultimately we're people behind the product working here, making the product in the US, and we want to make sure people know that.
Yeah, I think it's cool too because it's like a lot of people don't realize all the details that go into making a boot, like the clicking and the laying out the pattern pieces and evaluating the hides, all that kind of stuff. So I think, and also just like what a walking foot sewing machine works like, and just seeing all those kind of like little nitty gritty details is really cool. Um, Related to that, how do you guys imagine that Nick's Belts is going to show up on YouTube? Is that going to be like a new kind of section and playlist on the Nick's Boots page, or is it going to have like its own YouTube page? Like, how do you see that
Yeah,
growing?
yeah. We have another account that we use for something else. That's going to be transitioning into the Nix belts, and just we'll probably have some similar build videos. We're going to try some new stuff. Like I feel like our department is kind of like a good little kind of testing area for new ideas and in video style. So we're doing that. We're gonna have little segments like where we highlight like Liam's like talents in like making denim stuff, and we have another person back there that used to sew like sails for boats and stuff like that. Just she's really good at sewing. Trent plays the flute. Like I don't know, he does all kinds of weird
So
stuff.
you can like narrate the videos with like live jamming.
There is a Knicks band. There's a Knicks band that likes to
Yeah,
practice during
there
the
is band.
lunchtime, I believe.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's super important that people see these things though, because it kind of makes them be like, like, hey, that's who made my belt, and it
Yeah.
makes them want it more and like to talk it. When there's a conversation behind something, it makes it that much more enjoyable. So, yeah.
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 It's pretty neat, man. Like it's great. We have a lot of fun here. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of work. It feels good though because we're making cool stuff. And being like Nick said, a very front facing like company. We go on Reddit and there's people sending us questions and customer service stuff so it's kind of like handling all that stuff, and it's like people kind of know Nick's. They know the people that work here. We're very open about it, so it's kind of a interesting line to walk there, being like a business and but also that.
I was just thinking about Trent. put his signature on a belt for someone the other day,
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah, it was
that was the
pretty,
first.
it was special. Yeah, we had a
That's
contest winner
cool.
come in. Yeah, had him sign it. Yeah, stuff like that. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, super cool. I know when I worked at Black Horse Lane, like, we'd often have people come to the factory and they're just kind of like, "Hey, can we like just like walk around and see how you make jeans?" We're like, "Yeah, sure. Like, don't get in the way, don't touch anything." But
Yeah.
like kind of like you could see the whole process. Do you guys do anything like that where when folks come visit your shop, they could also like see the factory at all, or is it like a health and safety thing where you can't necessarily go through?
No, they'll do tours.
Mhm.
People come in for like boots, and like one of our store guys, Dakota, will do tours. I've several times. I'm getting ready to go home. A customer comes in. They're like, "Can you make me this belt?" And like, for the next hour, we're making like a custom belt for somebody. We
Yeah.
should be going
Awesome.
home. But it's a lot of fun because they'll just sit back there because no one's here. We got some in the store, and I'll be stitching up a belt. We'll be chatting.
Hmm.
It's pretty neat.
Very cool. Yeah, I feel like either like Stitch Down or someone needs to organize like one of the big get-togethers, like the boot camp kind of thing in the PNW, just because like there's so many heritage brands, including yourselves, that are like all up in that part of the country, and it feels like a neat place to kind of all get together and kind of understand what you make and how you make it. And I know like there's this kind of weird misconception where it's like this podcast is just a denim podcast and like Stitch Down is like just a boot podcast, but anyone who's into heritage goods, they're across all these categories, right? Like anyone who listens to our podcast also loves leather goods and boots and that kind of thing, and vice versa. Anyone on Stitch Down, I know they're geeking out about denim when they're not, obsessing over shoes. And so I love this idea of kind of um, this heritage scene that we're all a part of, and it feels like you guys are a big part of being at the center of it.
Yeah, that's been one of my focuses. Like we've sponsored or been a part of like the prizes for like Stitch Down for years now. We had like I kind of talked Shiler into asking Ben if we could have like a leather goods competition, and then that happened. We're also sponsoring the Indigo Invitational. We have prizes there, so that's kind of been big for us. But I've been pushing the denim
Awesome.
thing, and just that I think it's a great area for us. People want belts for their pants, and I think it's a perfect kind of combination.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, one thing I did want to quickly mention, just because I skipped over it earlier in the conversation, was the sizing page that you guys have on your belt. So I know I chatted with you guys all a bit over email before receiving the belt that you kindly sent me to check out. But yeah, I know you've got like a dedicated sizing page with specifics on, I guess that's a video with you, Luke, if I understand correctly, walking folks through how to get the right size in a Nix belt. Because it's not necessarily, you guys don't necessarily size them the same way everyone else does, right?
No, so we that was set up before I got here, and it's a little different. So it's been like, I don't want to change it because we've been doing it so long. So we're kind of just trying to make it clear. Like we didn't have videos before on how to do it, so people were like, "Oh, 4 sizes, 4 inches bigger than like our sizing." So, and then we like will measure from the end of the belt instead of like the end of the fold there, where kind of so a lot of different stuff there, but yeah, we're trying to make it clear, make it easier. I think the videos help cut down on returns. We'll be doing more of that stuff, kind of getting into it with. We have a new videographer starting that's going to be really focusing on our leather goods department here. So we'll be doing more stuff like that to education.
Yeah, and if I understood it correctly, I think what it boils down to is a lot of brands, start measuring the belt where the leather wraps around the buckle to the
Hmm.
middle hole or the hole you use most. And all
Yeah.
you guys are doing is basically factoring in the buckle as well, which essentially like adds 2 inches, right? So it's like
Yeah.
from buckle to most use hole versus fold to most use hole. Is that sound right?
Pretty much. Yeah. So we do 4 inches. Yeah.
Cool,
I
cool, cool.
can't tell you why. I'm not comfortable with changing it yet to the standard. Just
Yeah,
confusing
yeah,
people,
yeah.
like just doubling down.
I think folks don't realize how hard sizing is, whether it's like putting your label on a pair of denim, right? It's like Am I giving you a circumference size, which a lot of Japanese brands do, of like how big around's the waistband on the jean versus like a vanity size, which is like your theoretical skinniest part of your waist, and
Mhm.
or is it like somewhere in between? And like once you kind of adopt a sizing system for jeans, it's like it's hard to change it. And so I can see
Mhm.
kind of belts are in a similar way where it's like, or even like boot last, right? It's like once you kind of have your system in place, that's a huge lift to like adopt a different system and educate all of your customers that like now things are done a different way.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Trying not to break it.
Exactly. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm super stoked to see this part of your business continue to grow. Like, I was not aware that you guys were belt makers, in addition to boot makers. That's super cool that I've learned about this part of your business. And, I'm super glad that y'all had a chance to kind of jump on the podcast and share with our listeners about your belts and accessory business. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to touch on the call or?
Um, I could, yeah, just quick. Like, I get this question a lot or a complaint a lot, since like in our boot business, we have a lot of long lead times. And the first thing people will say when they see me post like a belt, like on Reddit or something like that, they're like, "Can you guys cool it with the leather goods? It's ruining the boot lead times." And we have to explain to people this is a completely separate department. You don't want us making your boots. We're good at leather goods. I have some experience in boots. I would probably be okay, but everyone else has not. So yeah, we are leather goods professionals. We don't make your boots. We don't ruin the lead times on your
Yeah,
boots.
we're
Yep.
not taking anybody from production either
Yeah.
to make
Yep.
belts,
Yep.
you know.
So that's kind of something I'd like to clear up there for some, if anyone is interested in that.
Yeah, I like that. I think that also goes well with the fact that like your leather goods business is a separate website. It's like we've got this big factory that makes belts, and we also
Hmm.
have this like side hustle with different people who make it, leather goods and accessories, and we are not the same people, even though we're under the same maybe
Yeah.
the same roof, but we're like two little businesses operating together in a way. I
Yep.
think that helps make that a bit more clear.
Hmm. Yep.
And I guess like as you guys launch, you alluded to, but as you guys launch your YouTube presence around this side of your business, I think that'll become a lot more clear very quickly to customers. And even I'm seeing it on your homepage, right? Like there's this little strip on the homepage that's like, see how our work belts are made. And I'm watching you guys like with awls and your cutting machine and like, your hand
Hmm.
hammering stuff. And it's like, that's not how you make boots. This is like a very different thing. So I like that you're
Exactly.
kind of showing that firsthand how that works.
Yep. We'll have a lot more of that going forward. Our videographer kind of hates that video for some reason that he shot. So we're going to shoot new ones of that and different things.
Well,
But I
tell them
think,
that an unbiased third party likes it. So yeah,
yeah.
I think it looks cool and it's interesting and it's informative.
Yeah, it's a video on our homepage of the website. Yeah, Andrew's always like, I got to reshoot that. So, yeah, we'll be doing more of that stuff. Kind of following in the footsteps of like our boots. Kind of how we grew that business, and trying to do some of the same things, but also switch it up a little bit, try some new stuff, have some fun. We really enjoy it back there, and we're goofballs, and we're down to doing some interesting and different stuff as well.
Would be super cool as I'm watching this video. This is just kind of an idea. I always give people ideas whether they want them or not. There's a lot of steps here in this belt making process that I actually wasn't aware of. So it's like at one point you're like shaving down the belt at the edge, and it's like, ooh, what's that? Or like, you're using your machine that does like the embossing. There's kind of, or like, like there's like I'll call it a staple machine that like staples around the loop, that goes like that keeps your having little like mini videos that kind of like deep dive on these different steps. It would be super interesting because it's like there's a bunch of stuff happening here that like I did not know was a part of making a belt,
Yeah.
or had just never thought about. And it's like, ooh, cool, what's that? Like, tell me more.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I
Yep.
think we're freeing up the space to do more of that now. Like that was typically a boot thing. Like on our site, you can see, or on our YouTube, you can see so many boot builds, like very in-depth boot builds, and even some videos where the boot makers go over the process. We haven't really done that as much of that for belts, but now that that's becoming a bigger part of our business, we're definitely going to be allocating more like media towards that, so we can give more. That is good insight for us. Even if you say like we don't need it, we're still willing to take the feedback.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take feedback all the time, So our customers are great. I get so much feedback from them, and they seem to care about the business as much as I do, So it's kind of cool to see, and they always give me honest stuff to think about.
That's a good thing about
Yeah. And
having
it's just,
our like Reddit presence too, is because like anyone can ask a question. Like myself, Luke, and our CEO Schuyler, we're on there quite a bit, and so people get answers pretty quick. Even in niche questions, we might even occasionally decide, hey, this person is asking for something that we don't have on the site. The site doesn't have a capability to make this at this time, but I believe our bootmakers can do this. Can we talk to our bootmakers about making this reality? And that's how some of the new models have come into like progressing into an actual model on the site.
yeah, I like that. Yeah. It's neat to kind of see or hear more here, I guess, the inner workings of like how you're expanding into new categories and deciding like what you do spend time on versus what you don't. Because I think one thing that folks maybe aren't really aware of is when you have a business such as your own, you guys are like, sleeping, dreaming, eating, work, like like your whole life kind of centers around like your craft and, making sure you're making the best product and making the right products. And it really matters what you decide to spend your time on versus what you don't. Because like every hour you're spending on something, that's like an hour not spent doing something else that helps the business grow. So it's kind of interesting to hear kind of the inner workings of it. It's like, this is why you have the specific accessories you do or don't have, or like, this is why you have separate web page for the belts and the leather goods. And it's nice to kind of get that sort of like inside story as to how you're growing the Knicks and why.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's different demographics that we want for. I mean, Nick's NicksBoots.com has always been a site where it's like you order your boots and then people want, as you said, the matching belt, right? That's for like a lot of people. Like having a matching belt and boots is awesome, and I totally get that. There's some people out there that just want a good belt though, and don't maybe have never heard of Nick's, and that's where Nick's belt is coming in. That's like what we're trying to prioritize right now is people that have never even heard of our boots, because our belts are like still a fantastic product. You don't have to wear them with our boots if you don't want to. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
Yeah.
the
And to
new
that
site
end
will
too,
as well. So, kind of more options that maybe didn't fit into the boot website.
yeah, I do like as well the fact you guys have this gallery, photo gallery on the Knicks belt site, because that's really helpful to kind of see how the product ages and like, people's perspectives on the belts that they've bought from you and their photos of them. So, and sometimes with a pair of matching boots, so I think that's kind of cool that you're sharing that information, so folks can like very easily say, okay, cool, this is what this particular wax flesh looks like over time, or this bison leather. They can kind of see the evolution of the different stuff,
Yeah.
versus just kind of like the marketing photos.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm super stoked. You guys took the time to catch up today and to chat, to chat boots, to chat belts, to chat video. Super cool to kind of get some of the inner workings of how Nick's is growing and how the business is expanding. So, um, Nick, Luke, Liam, thank you guys all so much for being on the podcast today and sharing some of your time. I know you're busy people. So, yeah, this has been a really, really cool conversation.
Yeah. Thanks
thank you
for
for
having
having
us.
us. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah. So for folks who dialed into this episode, please check out nicksbelts.com for the leather goods, including belts and accessories. Obviously, you probably already know about nicksboots.com as well. And for, yeah, you guys looking forward to that new account launching and seeing some of the leather goods business surface on online, so we can kind of tune in and learn more about the business. And of course, for folks who are on Sons of Selvage side, please like this video and subscribe to our channel if you aren't already, and go do the same for Nick's. You guys are an awesome business, and representing the best coming out of the PNW. So, yeah, big thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.